I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Dawn, right? So everyone knows Dawn, but I'm going to share a story. So when I was a student at Drexel University in Philadelphia, undergraduate, so 15 years ago or so, when I was trying to figure out how to make ends meet and figure it all out, I was a business major, and at the time there was no business, or there's no GIS in business at Drexel. So about my third year, I discovered GIS technology, so it was through National Geographic, I believe, and I became fascinated, but what to do at the time was too late to switch majors. I was already so invested, I was gonna get it done. So I looked and I found what was probably the first, or one of the first, online classes in GIS. And it was at OSU, Oregon State University. And who taught it? It was Dawn. So I took a class, I was hooked, and I took another one. And those two classes are what secured me my employment at Esri. And I still remember to this day the words of the regional office manager in Philadelphia, Jim Higgins, still dear colleague and friend, who hired me, and he said, wow, you discovered GIS on your own, that's great, but wow, OSU actually did that? Online GIS classes? So that was, so anyway, with that, Dawn has inspired and has enabled many of us by being an innovative educator, by pushing the limits, and then, so by enabling us all. So thank you, Dawn.
Some of our greatest blessings are from our former students. And this is also a story about not blowing it the first time you teach a class. So that's a wonderful story. Thank you so much, Jerry. Really appreciate that. So I would like to spend some time to give you some remarks on behalf of Jack. As you know, Jack is extremely passionate about education and about your community. And he's asked me to actually deliver a message to you on behalf of himself and those of us on the Esri Board of Directors. So I'm very thankful to be on the program for a few minutes just to give you a message from Jack. One of his favorite quotes is this, and it has to do with our Education Summit. It has to do with our user conference. It has to do with all of our meetings, all of our gatherings. Our goal is twofold: to help you do your work better and to inspire you. So I'm preaching to the crowd here because we love seeing you year after year here at this event. But one of the things that Jack wants to really focus on is getting your help. We need your help in order to transform teaching and learning in the classroom. And this is the theme, of course, is transformation here during this Education Summit. How can you help us? One of the ways that you can help us is to keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for all of the developments. And we confess that we go at a very fast pace. We have so many different products, so many different initiatives. But if you can continue to keep an eye out for what we are bringing you, including the auto-provisioning of the licensing, all of these different exciting things, then together we will indeed transform education and learning. And not just in the classroom, but throughout all of our lives. So one of the biggest transformations that we are working on at Esri is everything that we're doing in ArcGIS Pro. Now, ArcGIS Pro, as many of you, perhaps most of you know, is our new 64-bit application where we have poured literally thousands of two-dimensional and three-dimensional algorithms and tasks and workflows and capabilities to help you in all manner of spatial analysis. Everything that we're doing in terms of pushing the platform forward is being poured into ArcGIS Pro. There are still things that are in ArcMap, but those are being back programmed. As we move forward with Pro. And one of the exciting things about Pro now is that we have these connectors to the open source world. And we know that open source is a very important part of transformation in teaching and learning. And so there are connectors to various open source libraries. There's the ability to script in Python and R and other scientific programming environments. There is the new world of artificial intelligence with machine learning and deep learning algorithms that are already built into Pro. And then, of course, there is the fantastic spatial analysis, including, for those of us, Model Builder is such a favorite. So we go forward with Pro. Now, one of the things that is strange for me is I talk to scientists who are not in the classroom. They are having difficulty switching from ArcMap to ArcGIS Pro. It's a cultural thing. So we really appreciate the example and the leadership of your community in doing this. And so, in fact, how many of you have made the switch completely to Pro in your curricula? Stand up, please. I'm going to have you stand because this is important. This is very important. Fantastic. Marco, I see you. Okay. So thank you so much. And for those of you who have not been able to make this switch yet, those are your mentors and your advisors. So look to them, look to your peers there for resources as you move ahead. And of course, we have here at the Education Summit, we have the workshops on migrating to Pro and incorporating ArcGIS Pro in the classroom. So there are many, many great resources to help you to transform in that way. Another way that we are seeing transformation and that we are baking into our platform is the incorporation of notebooks, Python notebooks in particular. For those of you who aren't familiar with notebooks, these are open source web applications where you can incorporate just about everything: computer code, illustrations, narrative text, your syllabus, the results of your code. You can run your code in these notebooks. The outputs will be there in terms of the maps and the visualizations. So notebooks are starting to transform education as we know it. And in the ArcGIS platform, we now have the ability to host these Python notebooks. And Jupyter is the flavor du jour at the moment, but there are other flavors of notebooks. And so spatial analysis and data science are going to transform education and learning, and certainly by way of these notebooks, particularly in hosted environments. And I just want to show you this one example by Professor Lisa Tokes at the University of California, San Diego, Scripps Institution of Oceanography. She is teaching one of her classes completely within a Jupyter Python notebook. So she has her syllabus there. She has all of the assignments. Students are doing their assignments now because of this environment literally anywhere, at any time, on any device. They don't necessarily have to be in the classroom in order to do this course. But one of the most compelling things about these notebooks is that everything is amazingly self-contained, all of the illustrations, the lecture notes, and everything. And for her, this is transformational. So to aid in this, we now have ArcGIS Notebooks, which is a way that you can host a series of notebooks within the ArcGIS platform, integrating with ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS Online, everything else within the platform. And particularly if you are teaching not just one course or one lab, but you're teaching a series of courses, or you're teaching a degree, this is a great way to have everything organized and encapsulated nicely. Excuse me. So this is coming to your institutional licensing soon, so keep an eye out for that. This is one of the examples from one of these notebooks, which is calculating wildfire landslide risk. And this is the result of calculations, spatial analytical workflows that were done within that same notebook, all self-contained. And if Ilya is here, our colleague from UC San Diego Supercomputer Center, Ilya, are you here? I don't see him in the audience, but we just want to recognize the work that Ilya Zaslavsky is doing along this front as well. And we look forward to working with him as he incorporates ArcGIS notebooks throughout a new data science curriculum at UC San Diego across many, many departments and institutions. You should also keep an eye out for what we're calling Esri geoenabled systems. So these are apps, important parts of our platform that do not require extensive, intensive GIS or geography theoretical knowledge, but you can still be empowered with all of the superpowers of geospatial as part of your classroom experience for your students. Now, there are many of these that are coming out, and you'll hear about these throughout the week, but I just want to highlight 2 of them. ArcGIS Hub is very, very powerful for distributing data, curricula, and knowledge across your entire campus. This is something that was originally developed for local governments, but Jack would really like to see this enabled on university campuses as a way to transform your knowledge, coordination, and collaboration, and basically supercharging your campus to be smart, not just in terms of facilities, but in terms of how you're working together to advance knowledge. So ArcGIS Hub is part of your institutional licensing. Please take a look at that. And then ArcGIS Insights is a web-enabled app that can supercharge your ability to teach and provide examples in spatial statistics and many other areas of spatial analysis, geostatistics. It's a very, very intuitive application. You'll hear much more about insights from my colleague Helen when she takes the stage, but keep an eye out for insights, particularly if you are working again with Python or with R. Now, another area to keep an eye out for is in the area of content and curricula. So in terms of content, we have, I hope you know about the ArcGIS Living Atlas of the World. This is one of the world's largest digital GIS libraries. It's full of amazing authoritative content. It actually represents the top 1% of content that is already in ArcGIS Online. This is content that is very, very carefully curated. It comes from all manner of different government agencies. Many of the data sets come from universities, but we're looking for more university content. I know that for most of us, local data is very important for our classroom experience, but you can extend and force multiply your local data by combining it with a more regional context, even a global context, and you can get that from the ArcGIS Living Atlas of the World, and most of this content is free and available to you. Another area, and Jerry has already mentioned this, is the Learn ArcGIS ecosystem. This is extremely important to keep an eye on because there are so many fantastic new tutorials and modules that are coming out of the Learn ArcGIS ecosystem all the time. And all of them are written in ArcGIS Pro or using ArcGIS Pro. So some faculty are going as far as putting together an entire lab sequence or an entire course, or in the case of UC Riverside, an entire degree using just the Learn ArcGIS modules. If you're teaching at the K through 12 level, Teach with GIS is also a wonderful resource. And then we also have a Learn ArcGIS contributor program. So if you would like to contribute your own lesson, there's a very nice pathway that we have for you to contribute your own data and your own Learn ArcGIS lesson. Speaking of pathways, there are now multiple pathways within Learn ArcGIS so that you have a series of these modules on a particular topic, including there's one on the oceans. Now, I was very happy about that. I had nothing to do with it, too. Now, another content or curricula aid to keep an eye out for is what's going on with Esri Press, including the provision of desk copies. Now, we all love desk copies so that we can evaluate these for our courses. Esri Press now will offer just about all of its copies, desk copies to you, regardless of where you are from. This is now not just a program for domestic faculty and instructors, it's extended to the international realm as well. So all over the world, you can request desk copies of Esri Press titles. Most of these titles now are digital, so that makes it even easier to evaluate these for use in education. And one of the things that's surprising now about Esri Press is that we offer our titles, but also titles from these other publishers, Pearson, Wiley, McGraw-Hill, and O'Reilly. These titles are available around 90 days before the publication date. There are also other resources that are associated with these evaluation copies, including the ability to highlight portions of the text, to share notes, flashcards, text-to-speech capability, translations into different languages, and even integration with readers such as JAWS or NVDA. You can integrate these books into your learning management systems. So if your campus is using Canvas or Blackboard or Moodle or DL2, you can integrate that content directly into that learning management system. And for your students, students can rent these e-textbook titles at up to 70% of the list price. So there's a lot of wonderful things coming from Esri Press. So for how many of you is this brand new information about Esri Press? Good, good. So please do keep an eye out for that. Now this is a message from me. Really do encourage you to attend the Science Symposium. Angie has already informed you that this is part of the Education Summit. It is technically the very last gathering of the Education Summit. It'll be on Tuesday. It's a wonderful opportunity to commune among yourselves, but also with scientists from various disciplines who are not in the classroom. And so it's a wonderful way to exchange ideas and to inspire one another. The focus this year will be on climate change and extreme weather events. We may be talking about earthquakes as well. And there will be beer and wine as well as hot food. So it's a wonderful event. Please do come on Tuesday afternoon. And speaking of Esri Press, we are very proud to give away to each attendee of the Science Symposium this year the new Esri Press titled GIS for Science. And this is a book about how GIS has been a force multiplier for science across all of the environmental and social sciences, the digital humanities. And this book also includes two very, very key important chapters about education and about training the next generation of scientists. So please do come to the Science Symposium to get the beer and the wine and the good times, but also to get your book. And then associated with the book is a companion website, which is live right now, gisforscience.com. And the resources, digital resources that I've mentioned, are in this particular website, including the two chapters that are education focused. So that's my message. And in case you would like to have a copy of Jack's message and the message from the board of directors, this is a URL where you can download these slides and the notes. So it's esriurl.com/EdSummitI.